And the stalemate seems never-ending. Just like the war in Ukraine is turning out to be, which, by the way, has been on for 152 days now, the war in Ukraine. 152 days, and one man has become the face of this crisis, Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine. In his olive green T-shirt and his endless videos, he's tried to project himself as Ukraine's emblem, as the protagonist of the Ukraine story. But is brand Zelensky crumbling under Russian bombardment? I ask this because Zelensky has launched a purge. Hundreds of Ukrainian officials are facing action. This week, he fired 2 top officials. He's accused them of betrayal, of collaborating with Russia. He has accused his own people of treason. Who are these officials? I'll tell you about the top 2. Irina Venediktova, the prosecutor general, and Ivan Bakanov, the head of the State Security Service. Both have been fired and both are now under investigation. In fact, a total of 651 people are being probed for treason in Ukraine. Zelensky accuses them of working for Russia. His critics say he's basically cracking under pressure and shifting blame. The fact is, Ukraine has lost some key towns and regions to Russia in the past few months. Luhansk, Donetsk, Mariupol, Melitopol, Severodonetsk, Izium and Kherson. The significance of these fast-changing dynamics, this fast-changing map, cannot be ignored. Neither can the sign of weakness in shifting blame to officials. Zelensky is basically blaming his team for Ukraine's losses.
Such an array of crimes against the foundations of the state's national security and the links recorded between Ukrainian security forces officials and Russian special services raise very serious questions about their respective leaders.
Think about it. The Zelensky who made all of these videos on Ukraine's determination and unity is now investigating more than 600 of his own people for treason. He's firing some of his closest aides. Bakanov, for example. He's been with Zelensky for a long time now. They're childhood friends. They worked together as entertainers. When Zelensky was a comedian, Bakanov was his lead director. When Zelensky became president, he trusted Bakanov with Ukraine's domestic intelligence agency. And now he's blaming the same man for intelligence failure. His removal has been the most significant shake-up in the government since this war began. And it's also very telling. In fact, most leaders tend to become unpopular during wartime. Britain's Winston Churchill was an exception. And Ukraine's Zelensky so far has been an exception too. Ever since the war began, he's been going to the front lines, recording videos with troops, addressing world parliaments, and in every address, he's been showcasing Ukrainian solidarity. So when the same Zelensky publicly questions the loyalty of his own officials, his top officials, it does force you to read between the lines. Is Zelensky's morale taking a hit? That's what his critics say. The president himself wants you to believe otherwise. This weekend, he told Ukrainians that Russians are the ones losing hope, and that the people of Ukraine should celebrate.
Good health to you, fellow Ukrainians. An important symbolic week begins tomorrow, the week when we will first celebrate the Day of Ukrainian Statehood on July 28. For the first time, celebrate at the time of such a brutal war in the 6th month of it, after 8 years of war in Donbas. But we will celebrate, despite all, because Ukrainians cannot be broken. The state-building experience of Ukrainians, our culture, our identity, Ukrainian character are more than 1,000 years old.
Russia, of course, does not agree with this version of history. Russian President Vladimir Putin believes Ukraine is part of the greater Rus. Also, Russia is not satisfied with military gains, it seems. It now wants a regime change in Ukraine. It wants Zelensky out of office. And the Kremlin has said this in so many words.
Russian and Ukrainian people would continue to live together. We will certainly help Ukrainian people to get rid of the regime which is absolutely anti-people and anti-historical, if you wish.
The person you heard from is Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov. Not too long ago, he denied any quest for regime change in Kiev. Look at this headline. It's from April this year. What does it say? Russia is not seeking a regime change. These are the words of Sergey Lavrov 3 months on, he's saying the opposite. And none of this is surprising. Remember, Russia went to war with a mission to quote-unquote denazify Ukraine. Putin even called Zelensky's regime a gang of neo-Nazis. While Russia based its mission on a lopsided version of history, there was never a doubt about the end game. An open declaration of the same, and Zelensky's open cries of betrayal and blame game are extremely significant developments in the course of this war. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.